Zoning Board of Appeals for September 21st, Columbus Water and Light for August 9th, Library Board for August 21st, and the Plan Commission for June 28th and August 16th. Any questions or comments about board committees and commission reports? All right. Next up, we'll go up to number 7. We have update on the East James Street railing design project, and Nathan Roberts is here to entertain us with some railing ideas and fun.
All right, thank you guys. Last time we were here, we were talking about design elements that we wanted to put on it. So what we did is, here's the clock tower. Obviously, this is not centered. I have a full unit to show you that we have. Hopefully, it's a good representation. I probably should have gotten enough for everybody, but you're not going to get that. So, Charlie Cardinal, going old school with it. So, and then the third element, we're looking for a dead tree. No, this one we're not quite done with. So this is the red bud, where we're going to fill in a bunch of circles of different sizes to kind of fill in the whole tree. We'll actually probably block out one of the branches, so we'll make it full on one side and make it more 3D kind of in a way. So, anyway, the railing concept will look something like this. Question I wanted to pose to you guys. Number one, do you agree with the graphics? Feel that's good. The other thing is, there's 3 railings. So this is one of 3. I think 2 of them are exactly the same length at like 20 feet, and one at 18 or something like that.
2 at 23, 1 at 19.6.
19.6. That was pretty close. So, the question I had is, I was wondering if maybe we should, instead of, what we're doing is we're making these both dual-sided and a little bit of a shadow box, meaning there's going to be a black steel plate, or depending upon what you guys decide, stainless steel plate that'll be powder-coated black in the middle, and then these plates will be just off of that, about 3/4 of an inch per side. But we're making it 2-sided, so it'll also look nice from the store side, even though you're not going to see very much of that. But I was kind of wondering if maybe we should just make one railing all trees, one railing all cardinals, and one railing all clock towers. Just because I think it might be a little better than 3 railings that are all exactly the same. It might be a little bit nicer design aesthetic. You can always change, I think you could change that, because we're making, I gotta check that. I gotta check to make sure you could change the plates around. But anyway, it's just a thought I had.
Okay. Trina.
First I had, thank you. First I had a question. Are you suggesting more plates that repeats?
Well, each railing is going to have 3 plates, or it's actually 6. They'll be on the opposite side too. So each railing is going to look like this. So there'll be 3. 2 of them there'll be very little difference, I think, when you look at them. Only one will be just a little bit shorter than the other ones. So it really will be you won't see much of a difference over that distance.
And then my next question, are they going to be cutouts or etchings?
Cutouts.
How does that work for cutting out the image and still having the parts in the middle that show?
Because what we're going to do is we're going to put a plate in the middle that's going to be powder coated with the rest of the railing, and then we're going to sandwich it by the stainless. This is proposed to be stainless steel, where this is going to be, and this is a decision that the city has to get on, whether we're going to make this out of stainless so it doesn't rust at all, and then powder coat the stainless. But either way, it's going to look black, kind of like an antique black, I was thinking. Anyway, so basically, there's going to be a plate behind it. Does that make sense?
Would you glue down the middle parts that go inside?
No, it'll be with hardware, tamper-proof hardware. One side, you won't see any hardware. It'll be attached to the back. That'll be the street side. And the back side will have tamper-proof hardware that actually kind of goes through the stainless plate.
And then my last thing, for the visuals, I was wondering if hearts would go with the redwood tree a little more than circles.
Hearts?
That's how the leaves are shaped and
Oh.
on the real trees.
Yeah, the way I was drawing it was commas, actually, kind of, almost like a comma shape. The way I was looking at this, I was thinking about doing like kind of like 3 sizes of holes or circles. It probably will end up being like 500 holes totally. Once we get done, well, maybe not that many, maybe 300. But I think, I mean, we'll show you that. We can actually start with everything else, and you can approve the final tree plate at the end, basically. So I was thinking circles though, because I was thinking like kind of like 3 different sizes of circles, smaller circles being on the outside of the larger circles, creating the bud-looking stuff. So.
All right, couple questions for you as well. One thing I haven't been able to determine from any of the drawings is the height of the railing.
That is a good question. I probably do not have that information at this point. We're gonna make it to code. That's all written. I think it's, what is it? Is it 42 inches?
That's what we talked about on site.
Yeah, 42 inches.
And then, you have a ballpark cost on this project?
Well, I think we originally sent the city, what was it, Patrick, like 5,600? Something like that was what we were talking about. The question I have is if we make it all, that was when we were making the plates out of stainless, and the rest, we were gonna make the uprights out of stainless and then the crossbars out of mild steel, but now the city's asking what the cost would be for stainless. We got this done at 5:15 this afternoon. So I'm guessing it would add, I'd be willing to live with it if we added $500 to that. And so if you guys wanted to make a decision tonight, if you go 6,100, if it's less, I'll tell you it's less. So 6,100 would be the max. Now this is 3 railings, so remember that. I know I'm only showing you one.
Okay, and, is, with it being double-sided, is that cost in this estimate?
No, but I'll eat it. So I'll live with the 6,100.
All right. I don't have anything else. Mayor Tom?
I'm glad to hear that you're using stainless, because my understanding is these are going to be cored into the concrete, from my belief. They're not going to be
Yeah.
surface mounted.
We always were gonna make the uprights out of stainless.
Okay.
The question is whether we're gonna make the crossbars also out of stainless too.
And those, from the drawing, it looks like they'll be mounted into the lower step area, not up on the sidewalk, correct?
On the lower step area.
The reason we're putting them in there, essentially, the terrace area, I'll call it, which is, what's the step there, 6 inches, 8 inches?
Yeah, I'm not,
I was
believe it was
unable to
7.
go to the site visit as I was out of town. Were you thinking about putting them on the lower step or the upper step?
what we talked about on the site there was coring into the step.
The lower step?
The-
Upper step.
The upper step. Yep. The drawing doesn't depict that very well.
Okay,
but-
that's why I asked
Yeah.
about it, because I think there's kind of a natural curb there, but we need to keep that 5 feet, 5-foot sidewalk. It would need to be right on the edge of that, and I just wanted to ask because you would have to have a lot more length on the legs if you were gonna put it on that lower step and still core it into the concrete, so,
And they will be longer.
okay, cool. I like the design too, and I think I kind of would lean more towards what you're suggesting of having 3 of the same in each panel. I just think it adds a bit more of a design element to it as opposed to
Yeah.
repetition, so, thank you.
Any other questions for Nathan? Okay. And, all right, do you feel comfortable, you've got good direction on, to move forward?
Yeah, No, I mean, I think we're really right at the end. The only thing I gotta do is finish out the tree. We'll obviously add the length for the boring, which I will talk to the city of what they want, how far they want it to go down. I think we're really very close here.
So do I need to move this forward to the regular meeting for approval and?
I would recommend that. If, you know, if that doesn't get into our timing to get it done, we want to get it done this year. But I think we'll want to lay out the cost, approve that, and what we figure it'll come out of is contingency from James Street project that we have left. So we'll lay that out for you as well. So,
And that'll give you a great chance to run the numbers. So,
All right, thank you very much. We'll go ahead and move that forward to the next regular meeting.
Sounds good.
All right, next up, number 8, update from the Police and Fire Commission on police chief search process. Reagan Rule is here, familiar face to most of us.
Good evening. How are you guys?
Good.
I'd like to thank you for inviting me here tonight. Larry Olson's our president, but he wasn't able to attend, excuse me. So basically kind of catch you guys up where we're at 4.5 months into the process of seeking a new police chief. We've had about 12 PFC meetings in that time, which is pretty heavy load for a PFC. Anticipated, but little more than our normal meeting schedule. I believe Reisling Group had 4 forums as well that we all kind of build off of those. So starting back on May 14th, we kind of got into process and figuring out if we were going to use a hiring firm and just kind of the flow of how things were going to go. May and June, we pretty much reviewed 3 different hiring groups that were brought to us, and we chose Reisling Group, I believe, in early June, and then we began the negotiation process with them on contract. And one important thing with them was figuring out job description for the new chief of police. If we wanted to just go with what we had during our last search in 2010, or if we wanted to update that a little bit. And 2 important things that we really focused on were willingness and ability to do patrol duty. We thought that was a pretty important component of having a new police chief. Obviously, as you guys are in budget season now, just the cost implications of overtime and things like that, if they can be mitigated or avoided with a chief that's not only willing but also able to do patrol, we thought was pretty significant. In July, Reisling Group pretty much did their forums. They did a joint forum with us, PFC that is, and you folks on City Council, community forum, met with department heads and some city staff, and then they also did an internal round with the police department itself. And then they worked on, what were the key aspects in the hiring process and characteristics of a chief that all those groups wanted, so that they could then start, casting their wide net to find the candidates that would be a good fit for our community. So come August, they were basically recruiting, reviewing applicants, and established what I guess I would refer to as like an executive panel, police chiefs, police captains from the immediate area, primarily from Dane County, to go ahead and do the initial interview phase of our candidates that we were able to round up. And from there, they forwarded a number of those applicants to the PFC. Last month, we had our opportunity to complete those interviews. And at this point, I think this Thursday, we're going to go ahead and look to take a vote to move someone forward. And I believe at that point, that's when we'll be able to start some of the other steps as far as background checks and some other procedural things that need to get taken care of, and then onto the fun stuff, the contract negotiation and things like that. So briefly, hopefully briefly, that was takes us right where we're at. So 4.5 months. We were anticipating it to be about 4 to 6 months. kind of given other people's experience and the Riesling Group's, consultation with us, they figured that would be a good target range. So I'm pleased and confident that we'll be done here in the next few weeks. Hopefully everything goes well, and we'll be right on target.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for Reagan? I had one quick question.
You bet.
Can you give me an idea about how many applicants that you ended up with?
Total number, I am not sure. I know there's a small handful coming out of that executive panel. So I believe we did 2 interviews ourselves at the Police and Fire Commission just last month. So kind of par for the course when it comes to policing and stuff like that right now. It's a statewide trend. It's a national-wide trend as far as available applicants. I mean, everyone I've come across that's got experience in this talks about how, 15 years ago you could get 100 applicants for a police officer, 50 applicants, 30 applicants for a chief. Now we're down to, I think the last round of police officer candidates, we had 15 total that even started the testing and, procedure stuff. So,
All right.
yeah.
Thanks, Reagan.
But, yeah. Anything else?
All right.
All right.
Thanks for
Thank
coming
you,
in
guys.
to give us the update.
Absolutely. Have a good evening.
Yep. All right. All right, next up, we have number 9, a review and consider request from Redbud Homes Services to reduce their letter of credit for the Woods subdivision. There is information in your packet about this. The current letter of credit is at $108,360 and is set to expire on November 15th. Looks like the staff has indicated that they have recommended a reduction to 10% of the current amount, for a total of $10,836, and to be extended for 14 months. Is there any discussion on this? Questions? Mayor Tone?
I think there was a note in there that everybody checked off on, except for the lien waivers. Do you know if those are all done?
I'm not aware that they've been provided yet, but developers been made aware, so.
Okay. That's all I had.
Are these numbers transposed? Should be 10,836. Memos correct the letters.
So,
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
we're looking at the
Yeah.
number from the memo. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, I saw the memo. It's a little different, but, so are we looking for the 10,836 then? Is that?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Well, if there's any other questions, we can move this forward. All right, seeing none. Next up, number 10, social media and website policy. We have touched on this a few times. Looks like we have JT ready to give another go at it.
Yes. So I wanted to start with 2 clarifications from the last meeting. The first is I just wanted to own a mistake that I made, and that was included in a list of pages that I said the city or affiliates of the city had direct control over was the, I think it was labeled Columbus Recreation Soccer. Excuse me. That was not the case, and that was my fault, and I just wanted to publicly own that. I apologized to Amy Jo right after it happened. I just wanted to be clear that Amy Jo was not affiliated with that page at all. That was something created by the community privately. The second thing was the council asked that steps be taken to eliminate the old police department and DPW pages. I did talk to Carolyn, made her aware of how council felt, and gave her some direction as to how you go about deleting that page, and I plan to follow up with her tomorrow at the department head meeting about that as well, just to see how things are going. As of I last checked, it's still not down, but at least they've been made aware. And then the police department page actually was deleted last summer. What is currently up is something that we've struggled with before, which is Facebook will auto-generate pages that for locations or organizations that people are connecting with, or that Facebook deems are popular, that people are searching a lot. So in our case, our police department page gets generated automatically for us. We had an old police department page, and as I said, it was deleted last summer. But Facebook has decided that there should be a Columbus Police Department page, so there is one. The way you go, you can't just call Facebook and ask them to delete it. They don't listen to you. The way you go about getting it deleted is by establishing your own official page and then letting Facebook know, hey, I've set up an official page. Mind taking down the temporary one you had set up? That's how you go about it. So luckily, with this new policy, we give the police department an avenue to create their own outpost, their own official outpost, and we can ask Facebook to get that taken down. But those are steps that need to be taken down the road once we get this policy approved. I just wanted to make council aware that that was happening. What that actually was.
Let me just jump in real quick.
Sure.
If you don't mind.
No, go ahead.
On that recreation soccer page, they are listing the contact number for the recreation department. Do we have any way to contact the group or the citizens that have this page up and request it be taken down and not list the city information?
I'm not aware of who actually runs it, and yeah, I'm getting shrugs from Amy Jo as well, so we're actually not sure who's operating that page.
I mean, I assume it's one of the Dykuses. That's what I've been told in the past, so I think somebody needs to reach out and get this taken down. Sure. I mean, it's a spam Facebook page, in my opinion. It shouldn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, you can continue.
Yeah. All right. So I just wanted to say before we dove into the policies that as it stands right now with the current changes, I'm comfortable moving these to the regular meeting. So I just wanted to preface that off the top. I don't have any suggested changes going forward, but I'm willing to implement anything that council deems necessary. So starting with the website administration policy on page 2, we just eliminated the community calendar. We decided to go with the all-out strategy on that. So yeah, no community calendar, but otherwise than that, there were no other changes made at the last meeting. Does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns about the website administration policy?
So to be clear, we're still going to have a community calendar that we're going to control.
Correct. We'll still have our city calendar where we post all of our meetings and all that, and the library posts the events that they're doing. The same thing that's being used for right now. We just won't expand it beyond that.
Any questions on that part of it, guys? All right. We're good.
All right, social media policy. All changes were made on page 3 of that. We eliminated item 4 on that page because we deemed that that was implied without needing to state the actual rule. And number 5 was changed from any comments to any violators of this policy, violators being deemed a broader word that could apply to different kinds of social media, whereas comments can be specific to just certain social media. And then we added our list of approved accounts. And I've structured it in such a way that leaves the door open for if we want to eventually expand into other social media besides Facebook down the road. Any questions, comments from council on that one?
Here, Tom.
I guess since I wasn't at the last meeting, I wanted to make a few comments or ask a few questions. It seems like the consensus is if we're going to have a policy, we're all in or we're all out. We can't do it halfway. That's kind of what I heard was discussed at the last meeting. I get that, and I think that the policy looks pretty good, but what does all in mean next year or the year after? I mean, there are certain things this covers, but it doesn't exclude certain things that we're already have been doing, I guess. I know we've had a lot of conversation at the Cable Commission about live streaming, for instance. That's not addressed in any of this. So we're allowing someone to, work on a social media platform, but we haven't prohibited live streaming anywhere in the policy. And I kind of felt like the commission was looking for the council to have an umbrella that kind of covered them to show this is what's acceptable and what's not. So I kind of feel like we need to tackle that in this policy right now. And if we are on a platform, this is how we're using it. As that platform evolves, I think the policy has to evolve along with it. But I think we're assuming that's not going to change from this day forward. And I think social media is constantly evolving, and we're going to get into territory that we never assumed in a couple of years. So I'm a bit skittish with that, without having some more specific language in here to address certain things that maybe we don't feel safe doing right now, or that they're maybe not needed at this point.
So is it just live streaming that you want addressed at this time, Mayor Tome? Because, I mean, as you state, the social media landscape is constantly evolving. We have no idea what social media is going to look like 2 years from now. So we really could get as specific, and I mean, this policy could become 20 pages if we wanted it to. I've just decided to err on the side of giving deference to the staff that'll be managing these pages, and just giving them general guidelines to try and, follow in best practices. That was my approach, rather than trying to anticipate where we're going necessarily. If we really feel strongly that we want to address live streaming in this policy, then I will draft rules to do so. And if there's any other areas that we want to specifically address, I will do so. I just want us to be aware that if we try to regulate social media based on what it's doing right now, we're gonna fail to regulate our social media 2 years from now.
Yeah, I agree. And I know you've put a lot of work into this, from adopting the original policy just a couple of years ago. This has come a long way again already. I've been pretty vocal at the Cable Commission about the difference between live streaming a meeting and putting a link out, like on Vimeo, where if someone wants to watch a meeting, we want transparency. We want people to be engaged and understand what's happening in the city. But I think there's a gap between someone watching a meeting or someone watching it live, where they feel like they're going to have an influence, or they're participating on social media with government. And I don't want to go anywhere near that. Mm-hmm. People come to public meetings to participate in them, and I think there just needs to be a black line that's drawn there, that we want those meetings to be made available. But I believe there's the perception of some people out there that if they're on social media and they're commenting on a live stream, that they're participating in a meeting, and that's not how it works. So I would feel safer of having something mentioned in the policy to show what the city's comfortable doing at this point. Because I think the Cable Commission is going to be looking to the council for that guidance. That's my understanding at the last Cable Commission meeting, is they wanted the policy to kind of cover that question for them.
So the only thing I would counter to your comment there is, I think there's a difference between live meetings and live events. Mm-hmm. So, if we're talking about live government meetings, I could see where that, where there could be a restriction there where we're not doing that. But when we're talking about live events, like if someone wants to go on Facebook Live for like the rec department and, promote their page, like, here's a soccer thing going on right now, or a basketball thing, or like the 4th of July parade or the holiday train, I think there should be a clear difference between those two. Because I don't want to eliminate that type of streaming. I think that we need to be careful on how we word that if we wanted to put, we wanted to make something in the policy that there's no live streaming.
I think where we had gotten to at the Cable Commission too, Andy, was using a platform that allowed for live streaming but didn't have commenting. So people can watch it, but there's not necessarily any interaction between the stream and what we're trying to get out there, which I'm more comfortable with, I guess. And I believe Vimeo has that. We just haven't utilized that much. I think it's the Facebook live streaming, which we don't have any control over. We were under the impression we could turn commenting off. Turns out you can't. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's having some simple language to reflect that. And I agree, there are specific events we do in the community which would be nice to have live stream. Mm-hmm. But again, I would rather have people at the events instead of watching it on Facebook. I just think that the liabilities and, kind of outweighs what we're going to gain from it, really. We can always put it on after the event and use it as a promotional tool to market the city. But I think we need to have some framework in this policy to outline what the city wishes to do with that.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Oh, go ahead, JT.
I was just gonna say, I can certainly take a crack at the first crack at the language. That way we don't have to sit here and sort of debate back and forth exactly word choice, and you can let that fall on me, and then council can say, nope, we weren't trying to push that way, we're trying to push and give direction that way. If you would like, I can certainly at least try to see what that language would look like.
Yeah.
Council comfortable with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that, and I think, you know, we've kicked the can on this one quite a bit, so I think bring that back to the next cow and see if we can get that finalized. Mr. Clark?
I don't know if it's necessary, but as long as you're making edits, do we need to address whether or not the departments can use their budgets for promoting or boosting on Facebook? I don't know if you do or not, but it's, you know, something that some of them want to get into.
I just don't know if that's better addressed in the budget. Maybe because we do like tourism has a budget for will promote events from Facebook, for example. You know, I feel like maybe that might be more of a budget issue, but if you want, I mean, it could be a
I'm
policy.
just asking the question.
Yeah, no, I get it. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how we would. So you'd want maybe something in the policy that would say whether they can or can't do it, or how they can do it.
Specifically, that if they choose to promote or boost, that it comes out of the department's budget, not the city's overall. I don't know.
Mayor Tom?
They asked the Tourism Commission for funding to do online boosts. That's why they're there.
That's what we had done in 2017. We have the holiday train coming up, and Matt and I were actually just talking today about using some of the marketing budget in economic development. We traditionally spent that on radio ads. I figured out last year that wasn't effective, and so I want to take that money and now put it into print advertising and Facebook ads, and boosting posts and that sort of thing. So I would certainly not like to live in a world where I don't have the flexibility to turn to the marketing budget of economic development for ads that can serve as economic development.
Yeah.
If you want to put something in there that says, hey, if a department is going to spend money on Facebook, then it better either get permission from, but if you want to just say that, hey, you can't touch the, sort of the general pot, as it were, and you have to pull from your own budget, that I'm comfortable with, I think. But I just, putting hard and fast rules, constraining us too much, I mean, I think it's just going to make us inflexible and hard to get some stuff done. That's why I've tended towards, again, the smaller policy, so we can stay
I just
dynamic.
I think that it'd be a good idea to at least try to spell out where the money should come from.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care where, ultimately, it's just, you don't want to have creative ways going around getting, there should be some parameters around how that stuff is funded.
Do you have more, Mike?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
but I want to make sure that your can of worms is.
I'm done.
I think if someone wants to benefit or wants to start promoting their page or marketing, they just have to have a marketing budget, I think, and they're going to have the skill set to do it. Some others just won't, but I don't see a big problem in it. It's got to benefit their department to some degree. The thing I wanted to mention with the social media policy, again, and this could turn it into a 40-page policy once again. Mm-hmm. It's for the City of Columbus social media policy. The intent and the purpose and everything spelled out here is all geared towards employees of the city and how they interact with social media. We have 6 people sitting up here that represent the city of Columbus that aren't named anywhere in this policy. I'm not saying they should be, but should there be anything in this policy to define that? I mean, we can speak as a body, governing body as one, or sometimes people will get on social media. If you want to represent yourself as being the voice of the city of Columbus, that's not addressed anywhere in here. And I don't know if we need to put that in here, or if that's just an ethics issue with elected officials. Maybe it's completely separate, but is there a way that you can put some language into the policy that would either prevent or prohibit elected officials from acting on behalf of the city of Columbus on social media?
So I will say that it's not without precedent. I think of people in the journalism field are actually generally have rules saying who they, if you're going to, we'll use Facebook terms. So if you're gonna like one political candidate, then you should also like their opponent or somebody of equitable power in another political party. I know that, at least, Kevin, that was the case when my mom was working for the State Journal. But so it's not without precedent. I will say that as part of us assembling this policy in its current state, Kalen suggested I reach out to a human resources professional whose name I forget, that the city liaises with for input on various human resources matters, and suggested I reach out to them about the social media policy and just to see if there were any policies I could base ours on. And he thought at first that I was talking about regulating employees of the city and what they could do on social media, and immediately said, you want to be careful. And I very quickly steered him away that that's not where I wanted to go with it. But that is sort of the general tenet if you want to start regulating people's freedom of speech to an extent.
As an employee, we certainly can do that. I mean, and that's what I'm saying is we're all people. We can all have personal social media accounts. However, if somebody wants to create a campaign page and it's perceived as an official of the city,
Sure.
Should there be something in here to delineate that? If I come up to the city council and say, I want to add a Facebook page and it's going to be called Mayor Tome's Facebook page, and I'm going to say whatever I want and it's going to be me speaking on behalf of the city, I don't think that's appropriate, but it's not prohibited in here either. And then the next mayor comes in and handles the page after I'm gone. It's just not prohibited in here. So I think I want to delineate the difference between the people that are working on the social media, what's regarded as the city of Columbus on social media, from elected officials. And maybe that's just too much, but I still feel like we're in uncharted territory with social media, and it's always going to continue to create new issues. But I thought I'd mention it.
Yeah, and I kind of piggybacking off your comment about maybe this is more of an ethics thing, and we tried to, or we started discussing a code of ethics for elected officials and kind of stalled, so maybe this might be a good opportunity to take a look at that again, and maybe that it falls under that. Maybe it doesn't. I would be cautious to limit anyone's ability to communicate as an elected official. You know, you do represent the city, so you know, even like, for example, on your page when you had put out something about sandbagging and the flood, you know, you're representing the city, so, but it's not an official page.
It's not recognized by the city.
It's not recognized.
Correct.
So we would have to figure out if that's the road you want to go down, and Mayor,
Can you just put something in here that says that any elected official social media pages are not associated with the city of Columbus? Is that, I mean, who has the right to speak on behalf? I was passing along information from the
Right.
city.
and I've done the same thing.
Yep,
on
so I
many
get that it can be useful,
issues.
but I think somebody could also post something And it could be taken as, oh, that's an elected official, and they're speaking on behalf of the city, and it didn't come from the city website.
Right. And, you know, I've seen that as well, but I've also seen the same thing on their personal pages as well. So where's the line there? So I don't, Paul, do you have any comment, any opinion on this as our city attorney? I just don't know where to go with this.
Stay off of social media. Take down your website.
Thanks,
Knowing,
Paul.
knowing that that is not an acceptable answer. No, I think that the issue that you're talking about right now is something that there's a line to be drawn as to what is official City of Columbus website, what is official City of Columbus Facebook page, Twitter account, and all that stuff, and what is you as individuals. And I think that, you know, if you want to try to regulate you as individuals in this City of Columbus website administration policy, that's probably not going to work very well. Because they are two different things. What you can do as elected officials is not really what the policy that JT is working on is geared toward. I think the policy you're looking at right here is geared toward how are we managing the city website itself? How are we managing the city Facebook accounts and the six accounts that you mentioned at the end of the policy. When you get into what you're doing, you're pretty much on your own, I think. And I do think that if you're gonna have your own Facebook page, then you should consider, you know, the views expressed on this page are mine, or yours, not mine, but yours and yours only, and do not reflect, you know, official city positions or something like that. But I do think you need to draw a line, and again, you have to be cognizant that you have a city hat, but you also have an individual hat. And you certainly don't want to do anything to try to squash your individual opinion, because you're entitled to it, but you also have to remember who you're, you know, are you speaking as Michael Tome individual or Michael Tome mayor?
And that's why I feel like item K, that there could be an applicable sentence in there that says that. That, you know, that these, I mean, there's a prohibition, basically, that everybody, that elected officials have their freedom of speech, but they are not reflective of the City of Columbus social media policy. It's not covered under that. My concern is that there's obviously always a growing audience in social media, and people see merit in using it. But I just feel safer in having language in here that has a delineation in there, and that if you're on social media, you're making a personal comment, that you're not speaking on, none of us are speaking on behalf of the city, only these people on these pages are speaking on behalf of the city.
And if that's your goal, then some language in section 2.0 on the very first page of the policy is probably the place where you would put that. Because that just says department and staff of the City of Columbus are the organizations affected by the policy. One sentence that it says whatever you want about city council members would go there.
Just to exclude elected officials? I mean, we're not department, we're not staff, but we're part of the City of Columbus, we're part of an organization, but as individuals, we shouldn't be part of the policy.
Oh, okay. See, I was kind of reading that as you wanted council to be a part of the policy.
No.
Okay.
Well, I think the policy serves as guidelines for city staff. I mean, I think we have to pick, we're all in or we're all out. And what I'm saying is, if you don't have an exclusion, we're all in, or the perception is that if somebody doesn't stick to the policy and they put something inappropriate on social media, they can be reprimanded as an employee for not doing it right. What if you're not an employee of the city, but you're a representative of the city? I think you need to put something in the policy to show the difference between the two.
Is not the purpose of this policy to govern the city's social media accounts?
Yes.
And the city's website and the city's, well, not live streaming yet, but potentially live streaming? I mean, I think I'm hearing you say that you're concerned about what you might do as individuals with your own smartphone sitting on your bed at night, streaming out information. And this policy is not intended to deal with that at all.
It's the perception of the public and social media evolving at a very rapid pace is that we have a policy that says this is how we're using social media. There's nothing that excludes any elected official from acting on behalf of the city, I guess, or it doesn't say it exclusively that I'm reading in here.
Right, but this policy also says that it's to provide guidelines and procedures for the city's social media platforms. Okay, so are you drawing the line that your personal account is a city social media platform?
It's not, but
Right.
in other cities, it could be. You know, the mayor of New York probably has a Facebook page, and his job is to
Well-
post on social media because he's been directed to do so, and that's not part of
Right,
what I
but
want to do here.
that would be an official page for the mayor, hurricane warnings, come and get your sandbags.
Correct.
That kind of stuff.
Correct.
And is probably also maintained by staff, not the mayor.
Correct.
Right, so you're getting back to drawing the line between, you don't have an official Michael Tome, Mayor of Columbus Facebook page as far as I know.
I do.
You do.
It's not official. It's one that I created, and I don't use it. I'm probably going to get rid of it now. But that's my point, is that just like the soccer page we were talking about, that created confusion. It's not
Right.
listed here, so if anybody has a problem with it, I mean, it's not our responsibility to go make them take the page down. It's our policy that says that's not part of the city of Columbus. We have no responsibility for that.
Right.
And I want that somewhere in this policy I feel like we need to have that.
Trina?
Trina's got the best position because she's not on social media, so she doesn't have to worry about any of that.
Oh dear. I guess my first leaning is that I don't know if we need to add anything. On the other hand, under the 2.0, after the all departments and staff of the city of Columbus, we could have a little sentence just referring to all individuals' personal pages not being official city business unless they're listed, or except for the ones listed. I'm not quite sure how to put that, but I would want to include, staff as well as elected officials, just to have some sort of note that unless they're on the recognized pages, they're not official. Just a little blurb.
I mean, I feel like we're already saying, I mean, I don't know if we need to say that or not. I'm not against it. I like how you worded it, but we are already in 5.0 saying that these are the City of Columbus's approved accounts. So I'm confident that people would draw the conclusion that if they saw my page, they know that it's not a City of Columbus official account. That perception might be different for each one of you. So I know why we're here at this, in this conversation. I would not be opposed to how you worded that, Trina. I just don't necessarily know if it's necessary. I mean, I like, what Paul's saying, this is for the city, not me or you or the mayor. This is for the city pages, the city, this is a guideline for that. Again, I would go back to, maybe this could be something we could talk about as far as a code of ethics for elected officials in Columbus. So that's where I'm at.
Do we have any Twitter accounts?
No,
We don't tweet? No?
we do not tweet
All right.
yet.
Yeah. Mike?
How about something along the lines of, all views expressed by elected officials are that of the elected official, not the city?
You know, again, I feel like that would be something we could talk about in ethics, code of ethics, and that could be as a part of,
It's not to tell the elected official, it's to tell the public.
we could tell the public in different ways, I suppose. I don't know. I just, yeah, I don't know. Mayor Tom?
I'm not going to get hung up over this, but I think adding a sentence in here tastefully can help get a better understanding from the public of what this policy is here for. I don't want to throw this at the ethics thing because that's been dead for like 2 years right now, and it's going to be a lot of work to make it happen. I mean, I just think that you can address the issue in the policy really easily, as opposed to having to go down that road, which we've never really been successful at executing. We
Sure.
put months into the creation of having ethics committee, and it never took root. But you still need to have an active group that's willing to write up the rules and the policy for the ethics committee, what is right, what is wrong. So, but I'm fine.
All right, I would propose that JT writes something for us to look at and discuss next time, you know, along with the other changes. You know, and at the end of the day, it'll come, you know, this will get moved forward to a vote at the regular meeting, and you can make your vote then and decide how you want to go with that. So I would say if you could just write something up along the lines of what Trina and both Mikes are saying,
Sure.
we can go from there,
I will do that.
along with the other things we discussed. So,
Any other comments on the social media policy?
thanks.
Thank you for your time,
Yep.
council.
All right. Riveting. Next up, number 11, consider renewal of agreement with the state of Wisconsin for bad debt collection. We do have information here. Basically, this is an update to the current contract. Attorney Johnson went over it. There were changes on page 4 in section, I believe, 9 and 10, maybe, and 12. Let's go look here. I don't know if. Okay. Yeah, so basically what we would need to do is, just to, move this forward to approve the continuation of this program and approve an updated contract. So on page 4, sections 9 and 10, it talks about, it lays out the responsibility of the city if we should provide incorrect information in applying to the state for assistance in debt collecting. And in section 12, also on page 4, it includes stronger language for those municipalities using a third party and related confidentiality. So, I didn't see any red flags in here whenever I was looking it over. Unless there's any questions, we can move it forward. Everybody good? Okay. Thank you. Next up, number 12, Dodge County Humane Society Animal Contract. This is housekeeping. We've been contracted with Dodge County Humane Society for the last few years, I believe. And the changes this year were the fees related to the drop-off of animals that have been involved in potential rabies quarantine. Those situations have gone up $100 if the animal is considered not vicious, and to $400, and if it is considered vicious, it goes up $100 to $500. And one thing I didn't know, I I don't know if anybody here can answer it, but do you know, we've gone with option 2, which gives us up to 10 animals for $1,900. Do you know, Patrick, how many times we've utilized this in 2018 so far?
I do know that.
Oh, yay.
Year to date, 2018, we've had 3. And since 2015, we've never gone over 6. So 2017 was 5, 2016 was 6, 2015 was 4.
Okay. I mean, with that information, I mean, we're going to talk about social media here again, but I've noticed, you know, a lot of people connecting locally when an animal is lost on social media to reunite. I would maybe consider going down to the 5, and then anything over 5 is $250. So, you know, you have leeway for up to 8 and still be under the 1,900. And it sounds like we've not really hit 5 yet, right? Is that what, was there a 6 in there?
We had 1.6.
1.6.
Yep.
So that would be my 2 cents. So if anybody has any other opinions on that, let me know. I don't know if you guys think we should stick with what we've been doing at 10, or maybe bump it down to 5. Trina?
Oh, I'm leaning towards keeping it at 10. Just seems like it would get so easy to get to 8 or 9. And then usually we check the dogs only.
Great. Okay, well, I don't know what you guys want to do. I have, if we did 5 and we did happen to get up, you know, 3 extra, you're still under 1,900. And we've gotten really, like I said, never gotten that high. But this could be the year, maybe, I don't know. Gotcha?
I think I'm more in favor of going down to the 5, like you said. Even if you go over, you don't hit that 1,900, and we've never gone that high based on what you have given us.
Trina?
Oh, I'm just trying to remember, was there a year of 9 sometime within the past 5 years? I feel like there was.
In the numbers I have in front of me, I don't see it, but that just goes back to 2015.
Could have been. All right, so I'm looking to get some consensus if we want to stick with 10 or bump down to 5, so.
Down to 5.
All right. Clark, do you have an opinion?
I'm actually in favor of staying with 10. Just because the last 3 years doesn't really show those numbers out. I don't know. I'm more comfortable staying with the 10.
Okay.
Count them up.
Yeah, 3 to 2. You wanna jump in and make it a 3-3 and figure it out? I don't know. We're looking at maybe saving $800 or saving nothing and going over. So maybe we move this forward at 10 and have Patrick pull those numbers and see where we're at, like over like a 5 to 7 year history, and maybe make a better educated guess on what we're looking at. All right. Just put a pin in that one. All right, Patrick, we'll move that forward.
Will do.
Get us the data, and we can decide at the next meeting if that's what we want to do. All right. Next up, Dodge County Joint Powers Agreement for 2019. Whoops, 1 second here. It's another housekeeping item. So this is information in the packet about this as well. Per the Attorney General's office, a 911 joint powers agreement needs to be executed and filed on a yearly basis. It goes from January to 19 to December 31st of 19. Does anybody have any questions on that?
I'd get this in the mail and just give it to Pat, so he put it on the agenda for approval, but we'll be getting one from Columbia County as well, correct?
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
safe to move it forward for approval.
sounds good. Excellent. All right, next up, number 14. Consider and discuss use of slow-moving vehicles on city streets. This was, I believe, brought forward to you, Mayor Tome, by a citizen.
Yeah, I think we're gonna kind of have to limit discussion tonight, but I just wanted to bring some of this forward to the city council to kind of get an idea of whether this is an issue they want to deal with. Some of this came from questions last year about resident asking about clarification of whether or not golf carts were allowed on city streets. There was some confusion. There was an email between myself and Chief Dan Meister at the time, and also Attorney Johnson kind of chimed in to let us know what currently was prohibited and what wasn't. From my understanding, right now, golf carts, ATVs, UTVs, lawn tractors are currently prohibited on city streets. We do have an ordinance for neighborhood electric vehicles, from my understanding, that has been adopted. I don't know that we have anything that's considered an NEV in the city of Columbus anymore.
Right.
The resident that contacted me, I respect him for being very patient, but he basically said, if it's illegal, I don't want to risk myself and go out and do something that's illegal, but I see other people that are doing it. And so I guess the broader picture is the council willing to entertain looking at adopting ordinance that would allow the use that's already happening with some of these vehicles? When it came in front of the council last year, the golf cart issue didn't go very well, or didn't go very far, and I think that there were a lot of obstacles provided as far as where they should and shouldn't be, and there's a few examples that are on here that I think do a fairly good job of outlining how specific it has to be, that there's gonna have to be a geographical area for something like a golf cart, but as far as the lawnmowers, the UTVs, things like that, I'm looking more at that as a landscaping or snow removal device, not for recreational use. The city uses those vehicles through DPW, and I think that there may be some misconception in the community that if the DPW can drive their lawnmower 6 blocks down the street to go to a park, that a private citizen can do that, and that is not correct. That's prohibited. So I don't think we're going to get very far into this tonight, but I at least wanted to bring it forward just to kind of get a general sense of how you feel about it and whether there's any of this stuff that you really want to discuss, or if you think it's important.
The only thing I would mention on this, I really don't have a strong opinion against allowing a golf cart. As you said, I think there should be some parameters, but as any of our ordinances, it would be up to our police department to enforce the code. And it's obviously not being done now, because as they are prohibited, even, I think it comes down to enforcement, just like any of our other codes. Oh, Kasha?
I think the biggest thing I had found out in regards to this particular thing is when we're looking at the golf cart, I think the biggest obstacle we have is the fact that they can't cross, or they can't drive on the highways, and that ways to our golf courses are specifically down highways, so they can only cross them at like specifically marked places. And I think that was the only thing I saw as an obstacle. Other than that, or I don't know how to make sure people understand that that's the biggest part of the problem, is that we may have these marked places, but what if they're not using them and then they end up on the roads that they aren't allowed to be on? So that was my only concern.
So you can only you can cross
the
them.
state highway.
You can
can't
cross
drive
them,
on
but
the
you can't
state
drive on them. Okay. Any other, Mike?
I think when we talked about it last year, Attorney Johnson had, said this is going to be a case where if you permit it, you're going to draw some parameters to say this is possible that if you own a golf cart and you can legally get to the golf course, this is for going to and from a golf course. This is not for recreational use. There are just going to be people that physically won't be able to do it legally. That comes down to enforcement. But the town of Geneva example we have here has a registration. I think that's an opportunity during registration is to identify where the golf cart owner is keeping his cart and where he's going to. Because if there's no clear path on the map that would legally allow them to get there, I don't think you offer them registration. You're documenting where the golf cart is coming from and where it's going to. There are currently people, and I saw that when I went to go meet the resident, that are driving golf carts in town to the golf course. We don't want them driving on sidewalks. We don't want them driving on private property unless they have permission. This would be about finding a responsible way of getting them to and from a golf course. That's my intent, not just for recreational use, so.
Okay. All right, do we want to, talk about this further tonight, or do we want to talk about it at another COW or an ad hoc, or?
If you guys are willing to table it and bring it back for further discussion, I can try to get more information. I've just been busy. I was barely got this stuff together for today, so if you want to continue. Thanks.
What say you guys? Willing to move forward and talk about it more? Trina, yeah. You, yeah. Okay. Thank you. All right, up next, number 15, discuss issues related to the creation of the municipal court. I don't know, Patrick, did you want to start off with this, or Attorney Johnson?
I think probably the biggest issue in front of us is the ordinance. So Paul made some revisions included in your packet, so maybe I'll just turn it over to Paul then.
The ordinance that you have, excuse me, the ordinance that you have in your packet before you just fills in the blanks from last time. And I put in the $10,000 bond for both the judge and the clerk. And I think those were the main blanks that I had left from the last draft that you saw.
I did notice a change, section 2, 582. Looks like it went from municipal court committee to a commission composition. Could you fill us in on that?
I changed the word because of the ongoing issue concerning the difference between committees and commissions. And with what we have here, it's more of a commission, because a commission is something that, a committee is something that generally, let me back up further. If you follow the definitions that a lot of people use for the difference between the two, committees are generally narrow and focused, generally are made up of members of the council only, and have a rather limited task. And commissions are made up of members of the general public more often, have recommendation powers to the council, and have kind of an ongoing duty, and have some broader powers. And that's closer to what I've put in this ordinance. And as a reminder, the municipal court commission that I'm now calling it is something that is not required by the statute, is not required to be in existence at all. But I put it in there for the idea of, especially at this point in the proceedings, to have a body other than the committee of the whole and other than the city council doing the legwork as doing the background research on what an appropriate salary for the judge might be, salary for the clerk might be, what kind of software might be necessary to, and what are the choices and which one is better for the clerk once the court is set up. How is this, how are the tables and chairs going to be acquired, and all of that background information that's going to need to be put together at some point in time. So this is kind of more of a commission than a committee, in that it's going to be making recommendations to the council as to what it thinks. So that's why I made the change.
All right, and the number 3, as far as the makeup of the commission, is that on purpose, or is there a reason you did that, or could it be 5?
That was only as high as I could reach to pull a number out of the air. So it can be whatever you like, as long as it's an odd number.
Okay. I know it's hard to, 3 versus 5 or 7 or however, whatever it ends up being. I know it's hard to, on a commission level, it's hard enough to find, in committees, it's hard enough to find citizens to do, to volunteer their time to do this to begin with. I just a little nervous about who's, this is a big step we're taking as a city. I could see it maybe being a commission at some point, but I would be more in favor of having, maybe the first, I don't know if you can limit it by a year, but maybe the first year while we're growing and getting the court going, we make it a, something that's governed by, this body, as opposed to even a committee or a commission. Because one of the things I was reading in this other insert in here, municipal court review, it's saying court hours determined by and approved by, by the judge and approved by the governing body. In that scenario, is that a commission or committee, or is that the city council?
The court hours are going to be approved by the judge.
Well, it says determined by judge and approved by governing body.
Right, okay. So, but that governing body, that's you, that's city council, is who that is. As a complete alternative to, like I said, the municipal court commission or committee, that entire 2-582 that's in the ordinance right now is not required. This was my effort to try to determine a way that somebody or some entity or some group of people is going to be doing the background work here. Instead of a municipal court commission, you can take that section out altogether, and you could instead create an ad hoc committee of 2 members of the city council, or any group of, any combination that's going to be set up to be in operation from basically whenever the committee is formed until whenever the court takes effect. Because that's the bulk of the work that we're talking about here anyway. Once the court is actually in effect, this commission's job is pretty much going to be kind of a conduit between the court and the council, and it's going to be looking at salary. It's basically the main issue. Or if there's any bumps in the road that come together, because it's still a good idea to have, you have separation of powers, so it's a good idea to keep the court and the council separate. But you could take this section out altogether and just create an ad hoc committee and give it very limited and specific duties, and have it be effective from now until whenever the court is actually convened, and then disbanded. You could go that route.
And then so at some point, if we, are able to grow the court into an area, Columbus area court or whatever, would that would the commission or committee be involved in that, or is that, because that's how it is at the Eastern Columbia County Joint Municipal Court now?
If you ever have a joint court that involves municipalities other than Columbus, then the court committee becomes mandatory, because then it's representative of all of the bodies that are involved.
Okay.
So at that point, that you would have to have the committee. or, yeah, the municipal court committee, which is created.
Okay. Mayor Tom?
I feel like since this court's gonna be in its infancy this year, that maybe we need to kind of transition through, like you're talking about with an ad hoc group, Paul. My concern here is the way that this is written is that, you know, I'd have to find 2 people to appoint, and they would start basically when the day the court starts.
Well, I thought about that, but actually this ordinance is gonna take effect. The ordinance is gonna take effect as soon as you adopt it, whenever that happens to be. The court will take effect on May 1.
Okay.
So if you adopt the ordinance sometime in November, or whenever you adopt it, the committee will actually be, or the commission, now you got me doing it, the commission will actually be in place right then.
The other thing too, I guess, is that since this is the first year and this city council decided, okay, we are gonna disband from the joint municipal court and create a court in the city of Columbus, I do feel like having some involvement from the council the first 6 months or the inception of the court is important because we're providing funding to get the court off the ground. After that first year, then I think it's appropriate to have an independent commission, that we don't need to be involved with that. It's gonna be hopefully self-sustaining after that, but I would be more open to kind of that, you know, to evolve the governing court commission or committee or whatever it is in that first year. We've gone through a lot of work discussing this, and I think that financially, we kind of need to have some oversight when the court is created, I guess, for the first couple of months, and then have the court commission take over. But I don't see how you can write that into the ordinance, or you eliminate it and do what you were talking about with an ad hoc type thing, or.
Right, you can take that section of the proposed ordinance out whenever you like. You can create an ad hoc committee if you wish. You can amend the ordinance to create a commission or a committee on a more permanent basis later on, whenever you like. So I mean, these are all things that nothing is set in stone right now. It's just like any other ordinance. It can be amended and changed as necessary.
All right. Anybody else? Comments? Nothing. Okay. And we're looking, what's our deadline on this to get this ordinance squared away?
If your plan is to have the ordinance put in place so that potential candidates can get their nomination papers out and back, I believe the ordinance has to be approved first meeting of November. Is that what we decided? I think that's what we decided.
Okay, and,
Otherwise, we're working at your speed.
okay. And Patrick, have you heard from the court on any potential negotiations for them keeping us?
No, I have not. I
All right.
attended their latest court committee meeting, and they just acknowledged our notice, and that was the extent of the conversation.
Okay, thank you. I think at this point, we need to have consensus if we want to move forward with having a commission, or if we want to have an ad hoc. So I'd like to poll you guys and see.
From my perspective, I think it would be better.
Well, Mike Clark says ad hoc. Jason?
I agree, ad hoc.
Ad hoc for the first 6 months to a year.
Kasha?
I agree with the ad hoc idea, but I don't know after that the rest of it's necessary, so.
Okay. So, are you guys thinking until creation of court on May 1st, ad hoc disbands, and then we go with then we start a commission? Is that how
That's an option.
it's announced? Okay. I think we have consensus to move this forward as an ad hoc committee. And we can,
And do you want the commission section left in with an effective date of May 1? Or do you want it just taken out altogether and see how it goes when the time comes?
I would like it in there because I think on May 1st, there should be that separation.
Okay, so you want an ad hoc committee to be in place until the court convenes, and then once the court convenes, the ad hoc committee will expire and the commission will then kick in.
That would be my opinion.
Okay.
Mayor Tom?
Since I have to find 2 people to appoint after an election with a list of many other people, I would appreciate some flexibility, I guess, rather than pinning this down. This is going to be a brand-new commission or committee or whatever it's going to be. I think that if Paul is saying that this is not a requirement to have in there, I think the intent is to create an eventual court commission or committee, which I'm in favor of as well. I just don't know how quickly things are going to go, but we need to have a court committee or commission in place to help guide the court. I would rather err on the side of caution and go out a little bit further
How about 90 days
after the creation.
of the court?
That's very fair, yeah. Yep. Thank you.
Good.
At least there's a deadline.
You have something else?
No.
Okay. All right, are you,
How many people do you want on the ad hoc committee? 6? 7?
oh, yeah, it's, Mayor Tom, do you have an opinion on that?
Nope, I have to do the appointing, you guys figure the other part out.
Okay. Let's see. I mean, I think 3 is fine.
I'll put 3, and I won't require any aldermen or any particular, alderpersons, sorry, or any particular combination thereof, and just, then the mayor's got a little more flexibility.
That's fair.
Okay.
Okay. I think that's all I had on this. Do you have something else, Clark?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
No,
All right, thank you. All right, thank you very much. We'll move that, back to the cow, yep. Okay. Next up, I have, item 16, convene to close session per state statute 19.85 sub 1 sub E, deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investment of public funds, or conducting other public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require specifically to discuss TID 4 activity. I do not see any other, there are no actions that will come out of any of the closed sessions tonight. So we will be going off air after we go into closed session. We'll not be returning. I would entertain a motion to go into closed session.
I make a motion to go into closed session.
second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to go into closed session. Pat, if you could please take the roll.
Clark.
Aye.
Millar.
Aye.
Reed.
Aye.
Tylen.
Aye.
Tome.
Aye.
Traxler.
Aye.
Unanimous.
All right, we are in closed session. Thanks, everybody, for coming out.